data and insights has been so important to so many different parts of business, and leadership it's the science. It's the science of leadership, and it's more fun. You can have more empathy, and you can actually connect and help your team when you understand how work is happening and how they're doing, and combining things like qualitative insights with quantitative. So one of the more powerful things that we do at Microsoft and our customers are doing are looking at data about how people are working with engagement survey data combined, correlations. So you can understand, for example, if people's after hours collaboration is increased for 3 weeks in a row, does that also correspond with people saying they feel burnt out?
Yeah.
And what about then over time, does that impact attrition?
Hi everyone, welcome back to the HR Leaders Podcast. On today's episode, I'm joined by Seth Patton, who's the General Manager for Microsoft 365 and Microsoft Viva. During the episode, we discuss why a skills-first mindset is the new currency for talent retention and development, how to use technology to improve employee experience, and the number one thing that makes employees want to return back to the office. As always, before we jump into the video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and follow on your favorite podcast platform. With that being said, let's jump in. Welcome to the show, Seth. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
I was going to ask you where you are, but you kind of gave that away. Where you're tuning in from. But for the people that are listening and they can't see your background, where are you joining us from?
Well, near Seattle. I actually live on Mercer Island, which is right in between Seattle and Bellevue and Lake Washington.
Nice. When you say the island, I've just got this like vision of you getting in a boat in the morning and crossing over from the island to mainland.
Oh, well, many years ago, that is the way people got here. But now they actually have a bridge and proper highway.
It sounds nice. I need to get out of London as well, because everything's just here is just too much noise, congestion, chaos. I need to get myself on somewhere that sounds like that, on a lovely island somewhere.
Well, let me know if you ever visit.
I love it. It sounds like you've probably got some good water sports going on around there, a lot of activities.
Oh, yeah. Good and bad. We had a tough Mariners loss, but we had the Seahawks won this weekend, and I'm a big University of Washington fan, so
nice.
Football team is on a little bit of a roll.
Love it. Tell everyone a little bit more about you personally and your journey to where we are now then.
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town in Oregon and came to what was for me the big city at University of Washington in Seattle to study business, and I studied international business, and then got my first job in consulting. And
straight into consulting, no time wasted.
Yes, straight in. I needed to make money for school.
That's a good plan, to be fair, because some people go into business organizations then to consulting. You went straight to consulting. That's a good plan.
Straight to consulting. That's right. And they trained me, and I had an opportunity to work on a lot of different really interesting projects. And my specialty became organizational design and change management. So nice. I was really on sort of the people side of consulting, which I really loved. I ended up going and do a technology startup with my brother in, after 4 or 5 years in consulting, and did that for a couple of years in the Bay Area.
Cool.
And then joined Microsoft 20 years ago, believe it or not. It
wow.
has flown by. And I have, for the most part, been in roles related to marketing and product management. In a bunch of different product areas. So productivity and collaboration and project management. But my specialty, or really my passion, has always been at the intersection of technology, people, and business. So I love looking at technology and innovation, how to apply it to solve problems that help business, but help people as well.
Love it.
And then most recently, actually about 3.5 years ago, I was on the ideation team for what is now Microsoft Viva. And it has been quite a journey, quite a ride. I'm having, I would say, the most fun I've ever had in my career, in part because we're working on things that are making a difference and making an impact on people's experience at work, which is a lot of fun.
That's so cool, because you kind of came 360 from when you started and what you studied, and then now where you are now, and the consulting, I'm sure, was really, really interested, because that gave you a glimpse inside of many organizations as well. So you kind of got to taste a lot of things. Then you've gone into a organization but on the business side and the marketing side, but I'm sure still having that people lens that you look through. And now you're here with Microsoft Viva. So it's like,
Right.
it's meant to be.
You definitely picked up on that. I didn't even realize it until I was sort of working on Viva, and I was, wait a minute, this reminds me of something I used in my past.
Yeah, I love it. For those that Viva's kind of come out of, if you've been working on this for a long time, but for many of us, it's come out of nowhere and kind of just like a storm in a good way, and taken over. How do you describe Viva to people who hear about it for the first time?
Yeah, I think, the simplest way to describe it is using technology and insights to improve people's experience at work. And, people have talked about employee experience for a long time. I think one of the things that we've all learned is work is no longer just a place. It's an experience that transcends space and time. And so how do we create a great experience regardless of where people are working? And how do we use some of the data and insights that we now have, because we have content in the cloud and interactions through meetings and communications? How do we actually use that to not just focus on productivity and collaboration, but also helping employees thrive, giving them insights for things like improving their well-being, improving their ability to learn and grow and develop. And therefore, employees thrive, companies flourish.
Yeah, I love it because when I first heard about Viva, and I thought immediately it was kind of a genius play. But one is great for the application, but also from Microsoft's perspective, you're already working with so many of these organizations, and you're at the heart of their business in terms of the technology platform. So linking Viva and Teams and all the other platforms together, you have such a rich data source for that. And it's really now empowering leaders, especially with hybrid teams, to have access to that data, to as you said, to create a culture of well-being, to make sure they are managing hybrid teams. The list goes on. The D&I lens now that we and the great actions and insights we can see there is so exciting, and so many places we can go with it. But let's kind of start with skills, because one of the things that came from speaking with your team and looking at the research is this thing of talking about what is a skill first mindset, and why this is now the currency for talent and retention. Could you elaborate a little bit on that for everyone?
For sure. So I think we all sort of know intuitively that learning and growing is important, but it's become very much a business imperative. CEO top list in terms of improving their ability to grow is growing the people that they have. And it turns out it's actually less expensive to retain your people instead of having to hire new skills for those people. And so one of the things that we found in some of our latest research is that it also is an opportunity to retain people more than anything else, because people will stay at a company longer if they feel like they have opportunities to learn and grow. At Microsoft, we refer to this as a learn-it-all culture. And as a part of our transformation, going from, instead of being know-it-all, being a learn-it-all. And that sort of notion of growing your own skills helps not just you, but it helps your team and your organization as well. The thing that is surprising, though, is that 55% of people responding to our latest survey said that the best way for them to gain new skills is to just leave their company and go somewhere else. So, that's not right.
No.
We have to do a better job. And the flip side is 67% said that they would stay at their company longer if they felt like they had opportunities to learn and grow. And so for us, we really talk about is how do you create a learning culture, because the way learning happens has changed a lot. Gone are the days where you go to some, facility.
One day offsite.
Right.
Yeah.
By the time the curriculum gets there, it's out of date. It's a bunch of paper booklets. The way people learn today, and you see this from even, my kids, for example, they learn through podcasts or through their peers, on Snapchat,
YouTube. Everything.
Exactly. So people learn from each other. They learn in a more social way. They learn on the job in the context of the work that they're doing. And so really, how do we bring learning to people in context on the job, and how do we make it more social and collaborative? And that was the key design point for what we're doing with Viva Learning.
Yeah. And it's like learning in the moment, right? In the flow of work. So within technology, I love the power of, for example, nudges. you're currently working on this particular project, and all of a sudden it gives you a nudge and says, hey, Chris, maybe this learning piece, this podcast, this video may be of interest as well. That's what I'm really excited about, is learning in the flow of work, and it's not something being done to you. It's not like, all right, we're shutting down for 2 days. We're going to do a course somewhere. It's the learning in the flow of working, having those nudges and the data to be able to have those moments, interactions when it really matters.
Yeah, and one of the things that surprised me a little bit is the most used feature in Viva Learning is people sharing learning with their peers.
Nice, yeah.
And so, even within Microsoft, the utilization of online learning increased dramatically, almost doubled when we started using Viva Learning, because it became more social. You want to see what learning is trending.
It should be easy. Yeah.
My peers, what are the things that they like? But the simple feature of right click on a Teams chat, share a learning is what really increased learning.
Why are we surprised, right? Because we've been doing that for so long, like you mentioned earlier with social media, right? You see a funny video, you share it with your friend, or you see something interesting, you hit the share button, but we never really translated that effectively in
social creatures, Chris.
in the workplace. Back to learning in terms of the retention, you're a perfect example of this, right? You've been shed over 20 years, right? Did I catch that correctly? As well. And would you attribute to the constant learning and growth mindset and the ability, those challenges that you kept being thrown at you?
Well, I feel very fortunate. So when I came to Microsoft, in full disclosure, I didn't think I would be here very long, because I had just gotten done with my entrepreneurial ventures, and I figured, I'll go work for the big famous software company and learn how a big company does it, and then I'll go do my own thing. And every 2 or 3 years, I sort of assessed, okay, is this the time to go? And each time they gave me some new, exciting, challenging project. Yeah. And for me, it was, am I being challenged? Am I learning? And the people, that I'm working with. So kind of just check the box each time. And then after about 10 years, I was like, okay, my family lives here. We got a pretty good quality of life. I was fairly invested. I wasn't always looking for the next thing.
Yeah. It's interesting because you mentioned that other percentage of people that left because of that. I was one of those. I stayed I was at the company for 10 years, and I didn't want to leave. I loved my team. It was a real family, and but I just felt like I just hit a ceiling in terms of my own growth. And I was actively asking the business, saying, "What else can I do? Like sales, marketing, like something else." And there just simply wasn't the opportunity there. So that made sense. But I didn't want to leave. But it's quite sad that many people leave organizations without even having that conversation. Are there opportunities? Have you even asked? Oh, no, there's not. But have you had the conversation? Yeah.
And there's such an opportunity for organizations if they see that they can re-recruit through skilling. What an opportunity to retain your best talent.
Yeah, I love that. What about employee experience? What are some of the ways you're seeing Viva and other technology improve employee experience? It's one of the big buzzwords. Actually, one for a long time now, but even more so over the last couple of years.
Yeah, there's several ways that technology can help. One is people want to feel connected to each other and to their organization, and in a world where we're working from all over the places, technology can play that role of helping you build community with your teams and with your organization, connect with your leaders, and leaders connect with your employees in authentic ways. And so things like town halls, things like two-way conversations in communities, being able to sort of understand what are the vision, mission, and values. One of the things I'm most excited about, which is a sort of a new area for Viva, is Viva Goals. And Viva Goals uses OKRs, or objectives and key results, to help people understand how their work actually makes an impact and matters to the team and organizational goals. And it's just, it's amazing. People, they want to understand the meaning of their work. But the flip side is the organization gets a benefit because they get to know that people are working on the things that are most important. And so it really creates that virtuous cycle. And one of the things I think there's a lot of tension sometimes in the media and other places about this disconnect between leaders and employees. And I think what's great is technology has an opportunity to bridge that gap. Because if you can, help leaders understand what's going on with their employees, and they can better support their employees. But employees, on the flip side, can understand sort of the priorities and the vision and mission, then it works better for both.
Also, and as part of something you published recently, is around the productivity paranoia. You're not gonna, if you have those OKRs in place, you have the visibility. Hopefully, that's going to help those leaders and those managers.
Yeah, Chris, it's amazing. So in our survey, 85% of people said, or 87%, I think, said, yeah, I'm productive in the shift to hybrid work. But only 14 or even less than that leaders said that they were confident that their people were productive in the shift to hybrid work. That's, again, that sort of disconnect. And meanwhile, all of our productivity signals show that the amount of meetings are up, the amount of chats are up, 50% of people are burnt out. And so, I don't think that the answer is, sort of more hours necessarily, or trying to, surveillance or monitoring.
Yeah.
Really, how can you create clarity so that people are working on the things that are most important? And how do you get the insights to know that they have the support to do their best work?
Yeah. I won't pretend to say that I wasn't concerned. When we went remote, I felt lost as a leader, because it was the first time I didn't have any visibility. Because before then, everyone was in the office, and all of a sudden I was at home, everyone's remote, and I had no idea what was happening, what tasks were being completed. And there was a fear there, initially, an initial fear. But once we invested in software and technology, and I could see what the teams were doing, I could see the OKRs, I could see the productivity, I could even see where there was stressors, where people were working too much. Actually, where I need to have conversations, say, you need to take some time out, take some days off, or actually let me shift some workload over here. And then again, that comes with talking about the well-being element, something that technology really helped me with, to understand where the stresses and which people got too much that are going on at the moment. So it's fascinating.
Totally agree. I think one key insight is it's the outcomes that matter, I think, more than just the hours or the activity. And a lot of people are doing busy work. I think getting clarity on what's most important can help you maybe not do some of those things that are just busy work and not adding as much impact.
Yeah.
But the well-being part is so key. And I think you're right. There's a level of insights that you can get to understand that work is happening, how collaboration is happening, patterns of how work is happening, but do it in a way that preserves personal privacy.
Yeah, of course.
That's important for all of us. But also start to use those trends to understand things like, is my team at risk of burnout because of increased after-hours collaboration over a period of time? And then as a manager and a leader, what are things that we can do about that? For example, just in my team, we use Viva Insights to create a focus plan so that we have no meetings Friday afternoons. Nice. We have one day a quarter where it's just devoted to learning. We look and see that people have one-on-one scheduled with their manager at least once a month, because these things are important. And so you, as a manager and leader, you can get anonymous, sort of aggregated insights that help you be a better leader, and then see over time the impact of the things that you're changing. Like we gave our employees additional well-being days in addition to their vacation days. Well, how does that impact things like risk of burnout? And so it becomes pretty powerful when you empower individuals with insights to help them take regular breaks and take care of their own well-being, but also, with managers and leaders as well.
It's really exciting, but it is quite a new way of leading and managing through data. Not many leaders have been taught or trained or coached to lead in such a manner, right? It's amazing now that you can get a nudge saying, hey, Chris, have you had a chat with James this week? You haven't checked in. Or, hey, Chris, we've noticed that, Shane hasn't taken any holidays. You might want to check in with him and, make sure he's not burning out. But it's a very different way of managing a team than most leaders are used to. I'm still taking time to adapt, and I'm not perfect. But technology is definitely playing a part to nudge, because I'm going to forget, I'm going to make mistakes. And I think that's one of the things that technology helps me on, is just checks in with me now and again and holds me accountable to be the best leader I could be possible.
Yeah, I think data and insights has been so important to so many different parts of business, and leadership it's the science. It's the science of leadership, and it's more fun. You can have more empathy, and you can actually connect and help your team when you understand how work is happening and how they're doing, and combining things like qualitative insights with quantitative. So one of the more powerful things that we do at Microsoft and our customers are doing are looking at data about how people are working with engagement survey data combined, correlations. So you can understand, for example, if people's after hours collaboration is increased for 3 weeks in a row, does that also correspond with people saying they feel burnt out?
Yeah.
And what about then over time, does that impact attrition?
Mm-hmm. That's where it gets really exciting, right? In the past, a lot of this was based on our gut opinions, but now we can really drill down, and it gets really exciting. Another thing that was just quite exciting, and I spoke to you and the team about this recently, was your most recent Microsoft Work Trend Index report. There were so many great findings. We've kind of touched upon a few already, but what was it that stood out to you the most?
Yeah, I think, we touched on it. The one that was the biggest surprise to me was what we're calling productivity paranoia.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is this disconnect between leaders and employees, and how we can begin to bridge the gap through providing more clarity, but also a related one was why do people come into work? And the thing that we found there is that people, I think it was 73% of employees said they need a better reason to come to work than just their boss says.
Just because.
Or policy.
Yeah.
And the thing that it turns out they will come to work for is for each other. So it's that connecting with each other and reestablishing those team bonds. That is what brings people to work. And so as leaders, we can think more intentionally about reasons to come in through intentional gatherings, whether it's all hand meetings or workshops, or even consistency in terms of knowing that when people come in, other people will be there. But on the flip side, we know that we're not everyone's going to come in all the time. So how do you keep that connection regardless of where people are working? And that's where one of the things that came out is that leaders think that communication skills is the number one skill that they're going to need to have next year.
Interesting.
And so we think about Viva Amplify as one of the new applications that we announced recently last month, and it really helps leaders plan, organize, and publish communications broadly at scale, but using mediums like video and stories with a way to track which messages landed, which resonated, what sentiment. So that's one way that we can help do that.
It's again another skill that we don't really traditionally associate with being a manager or leader. Now I have to write up these comms messages that need to be sent out to my employee population. I know many HR leaders, especially during the pandemic, all of a sudden had to be expert comms in comms, right? Because they're literally writing about life and death, literally, at that time. And now as leaders, we also need to figure out how do we communicate both in person and virtually. There's a different tone as well, especially when you're writing a message. You have to be very careful, very mindful, inclusive. Many things you need to think about as well. So having a platform like that can help them is going to be huge.
There's also the different demographics.
Yeah, exact cultural nuances. It's so much. Like it's a minefield. And I'm a small business, so it's pretty easier where I am. But for a company like Microsoft and many other customers of a similar size, it's super complex. But it's also exciting because it's going to allow us to also tailor our messaging. When we talk about personalization, which is a big focus right now for many of the companies, it's going to be really exciting in the future where we can just serve those employees information that's just valuable for them, the information that they need, and create a truly personalized employee experience. The same way we do for our customers. We're all pretty good already at doing that for our customers, but we need to translate that and have the same insights for our employees to give them the tools that they need when they need it most.
It's also a great application for AI, for artificial intelligence, because we know a lot about somebody just based on what department they're in, what role they're in, what projects that they're in, and you can, while still maintaining the privacy for the individual, give them targeted learning or communications or things that are relevant to the work that they're doing, which is very, very powerful.
It's definitely exciting times ahead. But back to the point, I don't think anyone was really surprised when they said that people want to go back to work for people. I certainly wasn't surprised there, but it's good to see it, to see the number. For those leaders that don't believe, or if you're listening right now and you really want to get your people back, that's what they want to come for. They want to come for community. They want to come for collaboration. They want to come for creativity. That's why they want to come back to the office, not to sit there on an Excel spreadsheet when they could be doing other things. And it needs to be intentional, right? We need to be intentional about why we're asking people to come back. Yeah.
About the connection. How do you build it and design for that?
Yeah. And also understand that not everyone's going to be there. So then you got to figure out how do you be inclusive of everyone, no matter where they are, and that's one of the really exciting spaces I'm interested to see evolve of this, the tech side in an office, of how we bring those that are virtual in to the workspace with those that are physically there. I think that space is going to be really interesting, whether it's VR or AR. It's going to be quite cool to see.
Or even just helping people better schedule meetings and design them in a way that's inclusive and engaging, regardless of where people
100%. Yeah. Or even like, I've seen many cool developments in the space of knowing who's in on the day. I was at a client meeting with, I was meeting the chief people officer of WePro recently, a couple 100,000 plus employees. And I was in their London office and with the CHRO, and we was walking through the hallway, and a customer happened to be in the office, and they bumped into each other. And I was like, oh, I had no idea you were here today. I wish I knew you were here, because we could have scheduled lunch. We could have got together. How many missed opportunities for collaboration, for innovation happens, right? So it'd be great to know who's in what day, what are the availability of those individuals, and create an incredible environment for that collaboration.
And Chris, we should have a follow on one of these because it deserves its own segment, but Microsoft just announced Microsoft Places.
Oh, I promised to the audience that wasn't a segue. I did not know about that. Oh, you did? That's amazing. I'm not surprised.
Just last week.
Oh,
to really solve a lot of the problems that you just talked about.
Really?
The gap between digital and physical, and understanding where people and when people are going to be in the office, and whether they're RSVPing for in person or not, and helping schedule and do all of those logistics.
Nice. Well. I'm so excited about that. That's cool. I didn't know that. There you go. That's everyone. I think each of these different areas are really exciting. But I think what's exciting about Viva is the power of all of it combined, of what you can bring together. And it's interesting. A lot of the companies that I speak to don't even realize that a lot of these tools are already available to them. They don't even know they don't even know that they exist. And I'm like pitching it. You do realize you can do X, Y, and Z. And that's one of the reasons why I've been working with you and the team this month on the podcast, is to educate our community, because such a large portion of them are Microsoft customers, Microsoft partners, and they have these tools at their fingertips that they don't even realize that they can use. So it's very exciting. Very exciting.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. What you're kind of on the inside. I know you can't give away too many secrets, but kind of looking forward, you mentioned place. Did you say Places? Is that what it was called?
Microsoft Places.
Places, love that. What looking forward to the next sort of 2 years? What are you most excited about?
One of the things I'm really excited about is we recently announced that we're bringing Glint into Viva.
I know Glint very well.
Many of I know HR leaders out there probably know Glint, but what's exciting to me about that is a couple things. One is,
tell people who Glint are first. Sorry, because I know who they are, but just for the listeners, Seth, give people a quick overview of Glint.
Glint is a leading employee engagement survey company, which has been around for a while, and it was actually acquired by LinkedIn, which is also a Microsoft company. And as we were developing Viva and this employee experience category, we realized what a great asset Glint would be. It was part of Viva. So the engineering team came over to the Viva engineering team, and now they're co-designing and developing the future of Glint as a part of Viva. And the thing that excites me about that is the in the flow of work piece that you talked about, Chris, which is how do you start to bring those insights directly into managers and to help having a closed loop in terms of taking action and then being able to understand what impact that has on employee sentiment. Very, very, very powerful. But also what's really exciting is the people that came over. There's a really great people science team with Glint that's now part of the team. So we get to work on things both as it relates to Glint, but Viva more broadly. And you start to see so many interesting scenarios when you think about, for example, having a set of goals and then what learning can apply to those. And then how do you measure over time people's sentiment against those goals, and it becomes...
You're going to get lost in all the source there. So you can spend a lot of time...
I can talk about this all day.
You can spend a lot of time geeking out over all of the areas. What is your... this is random. I know you wasn't expecting me to answer this, but what does your typical day-to-day look like, just out of curiosity? Like, in terms of your personal time, just random question. Wanted to throw out there.
Well, so I am truly hybrid. I've been going into the office about 2 or 3 days a week. Today I'll go in for a few hours, but I'm working this morning at my home office and the afternoon at the home office. And we have, so my leadership team meets every Tuesday. And so everyone knows that we're going to meet there, and it helps give some consistency. And then our teams know that we're there as well, and they can either avoid us or come next.
They know when to avoid you. Yeah.
And then I try to schedule customer meetings on Thursday, because we have this great executive briefing center, and I can go there and spend all day with customers who are flying in, and that allows me to see people face to face.
Because you want to keep a pulse, right? You want to keep a pulse, constantly keep a pulse on what you're hearing from customers all the time.
Yeah, and I personally, I love connecting with my team. I love connecting with customers, but I also like having the flexibility of 3 days in the office and 2 or 3 days at work. At my home office, and that seems to work well.
Is that changed like family life much? Has it helped?
The biggest thing that has changed for me, Chris, is I used to travel all the time for these global, conferences. Events and road shows and customer meetings, and now that standard and etiquette has really changed. I mean, I think about the last month. I was in India, I was in Korea, I was in the Netherlands, but never left my home office. And just, it's amazing. The productivity is amazing, but for me personally, those were times that I was missing my daughter's tennis matches and family events when they were growing up, and it's very, very different now.
Yeah. Well, that's the important thing, right? We can talk about technology forever, but it's those things that really matter, that allows us to do, right? To be with our loved ones, to, see our daughter's tennis game and be there present as a dad, right? That's really, it's the kind of the heart and the mind, the technology piece, but it allows us to focus our time and energy on being more human, more empathetic, and that's why we do this. Why else would you work so hard and do what we do if you can't spend the time with your loved ones and really appreciate life, right?
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Well, listen, thanks so much for coming on the show. It's been exciting. I'm super excited for you. It's very clear from the very beginning of this conversation that you were supposed to be in this role. You kind of came full circle all the way around to where you are now. So super excited for you, for the team, to see kind of the ever evolving number of updates and and innovations that are coming from you and the team. Last question: where can people reach you if they want to connect with you and reach out? Where's the best place?
LinkedIn is always the best for me, and I will reply.
There you go. We've got a promise from everyone. Well, look, thanks for coming on the show. It means a lot. And for everyone's listening, or anything that we've discussed, all of the links are directly in the comments below. So if you want to access the report or any of the information we were talking about, you can find all the links there. Apart from that, enjoy the rest of your day, Seth, and I look forward to speaking again soon. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Chris.